Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Health Conversation podcast. Jeff Brown, T-Baby, love to laugh. That's for real up there. I really did lose 20 pounds in 18 days, lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 21 years. It's not a diet. It's like nothing any of you have ever done before. It's going to absolutely change the world. Everything you ever thought about diets, exercise, out the window. Again, look at what I did. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 21 years. It's not a diet. Today, we're going to show you the medical proof why diets are an abject failure. We have 80% of America overweight. We have 50% of Americans pre-diabetic, and 50% are obese. Does anyone really think diets are working? Any of you that are coming on? Again, I lost 20 pounds in 18 days. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. It's not a diet, and I've kept it off for more than 21 years. And I have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, 10, that prove unequivocally that this new protocol that was invented by the top weight loss, nutrition, and physiologists in the world for more than 38 years, they've done over 100 studies. So I want to put up there for everybody. I know Julia's there. I wanted to show you. There you go. I'm going to show everybody this is a free website that you all can go to at any time. It has all the medical evidence that I'm going to talk about today. Only medical evidence. We're not giving you any opinions. If you want opinions, there's plenty of other people on social media that you can get opinions from. So Barrett or Julia, I'm happy to welcome both of you here. Hopefully we'll be joined by some more people here as time goes by. But for the rest of you that are here, my name is Peter Greenlaw. I've been a nutritional researcher for 21 years. You can see my 4 best-selling books right there, Why Diets Are Failing Us, The Teos Syndrome, Teos Solutions, and Your Third Brain. I've appeared 20 times on PBS. I've done over 1,500 lectures all over the world. I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. Hi, Luna's dad. And basically what we're going to share with you today is how in the world did I lose 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off for 21 years. Most men and women on this, they'll lose as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet they've ever been on. In my case, you can see I lost 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks. And again, the big thing is not losing the weight. That's a given. It's about maintaining it. The protocol, which was invented by the top weight loss researchers in the world, who, by the way, they don't sell any products. They don't have a company. They're just scientists. And they figured this out after 38 years of research, 100 studies, thousands of people. Here's what they figured. Every time they put people on diets over 38 years, people always lost weight. But what they realized when they did blood, stool, urine, fat, and muscle, more muscle analysis, the weight the people were losing was up to 40% was lean muscle, which slowed the metabolism down. And every person in 38 years gained back all their weight or more because it's based on a flawed premise. See, what they did, hey, Luna's dad, nice to meet you. User 8363, Damon Smith, Eric K. Welcome on board. You can see the headline. I really did lose 20 pounds. Well, I guess you're not interested in that. Why don't you take 9 months to lose 20 pounds and see how that works out for you? So you can see there I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, not a diet, and I've kept it off for 21 years. I would hope that that would be of interest to many of you that are, coming on here, et cetera. So let me see what this person has to say. To ring the ping to the pen, king wears crown, that's my bling. I have no idea what you're talking about. Let's see. Reg, I'm not sure what you're talking about here. You're just some weird deal going on. The ring. Somebody repeated the same thing twice. We don't really need that. I mean, let's just get that off there. There we go. People come on here and they put the weirdest things on here. So, but anyway, for those of you that are interested, how in the world did I lose 20 pounds in 18 days, lose 40 pounds in 7 weeks? By the way, I've kept it off for 21 years. That's the most important thing to you. It's not a diet. It's like nothing you've ever done before. What we're going to prove to you today with medical proof is that diets do not work long-term period. Anybody, silly man, any of you, put in the chat, name a diet that you think works long-term. with 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Do any of you really think diets work? 33% of our kids now are pre-diabetic. This is a complete catastrophe, a disaster. Now, you don't even have to believe me. Here's Johns Hopkins Medical School. Listen to the title of this. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. They're estimating that 86% of Americans will be overweight or obese by 2030. Does that sound like to any of you that diets work? Despite all the hype, despite all the influence, despite, you see medical doctors and chiropractors, dietitians, nutritionists, fitness people, weight loss coaches, health coaches. Has any of them ever showed you one shred of medical evidence? We have 10, I'm holding it in my hand, 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies of this revolutionary new approach. They're not a company. They don't sell anything. They're the researchers. They did a combination of foods put together in a completely different way of consuming, nothing like any diet any of you have ever heard before. And like I said, imagine I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. You heard me. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks and I've kept it off for 21 years. I mean, can anybody show me anything like that? And because the evidence is when we look at here's a big study. They said why you shouldn't count calories. This is not my opinion. I don't give you opinions. I give you facts. They said, truth is calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. Did you know that? Excuse me, you're going on a diet to gain back more weight than you lost? Look around America. I mean, even today, we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Honest to gosh, does anyone think diets are working? Because they're not. And you keep hearing the chatter. All these people on social, men's, women, whatever, all they're telling you the only way to lose weight is to lower calories. Nonsense. Let's look at Harvard Medical School. Big article, stop counting calories. This is Harvard Medical School, not me. Listen to what they say. Most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories, specifically 3,500, and you lose a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is actually pretty misguided. The idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Because she goes on to say, drop the calories notion, says Stanford. It's time to take a different approach by emphasizing what's in the food, not how much food we're consuming. Why are you counting calories? Because someone told you to. I did it for a long time. These researchers, again, let me emphasize, they're the top weight loss, nutrition, and physiologists in the world for 38 years, over 100 studies. What they did, they figured out what didn't work after 38 years. What didn't work is this. Now here's something that'll shock you. The human body has no idea what a calorie is. It doesn't count calories. We're counting them for some strange reason. The only thing the body cares about is nutrition. And we have a minimum amount of nutrition that when we have enough nutrition, the brain's comfortable. There's enough fuel for the brain and the heart and the lungs and the kidney and et cetera. But when you go on a diet, what you're actually doing, whether you know it or not, forget calories, it has nothing to do with calories. When you lower the amount of food you're consuming, you're lowering the amount of nutrition. When that happens, the brain, as soon as it figures out there's not enough fuel, it freaks out, goes in starvation mode, prevents you from burning fat, and turns, to your muscles for fuel. Then it does two of the most unhealthy things you could ever do to yourself. First thing, it slows down your metabolism. That's why you plateau in these diets. That's why you come off the diet. And like they're saying, 66 and 2/3 of people end up weighing more than when they started on any diet studied. This is crazy, right? But the other thing that it does by losing lean muscle mass, it also interferes with your own immune system. What? So guess what? That diet you're all excited about, it's not doing something for you, it's doing something to you. And I'll show you the medical proof to back up what I'm saying here in just a moment. But it's important to understand how did this happen? How did I lose 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off for 21 years? How did that happen? Am I making it up? No, I'm not making it up. As a matter of fact, on the website, alternating fasting, silly man, is one of the worst things you could ever do. Absolutely. When they did the study, they said the side effects of alternate day fasting were dizziness, heart palpitations. I mean, are you kidding me? And they said it was okay, and the weight loss was pitiful. It was like 5 pounds in a month. No, alternate day fasting is the worst thing you could ever do, along with this time restricted eating where they're not having you eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8. Let me read while I'm on a roll. Let me read to you a big study that was just published. Here it is. The Journal of the American Medical Association is about this time-restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours and eat for 8. Listen to this. The new research in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily, eating all their meals between noon and 8, known as the 16-8 diet, gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost an average of 2 to 3.5 pounds. And most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. I mean, you want to go on something that causes dizziness and heart palpitations? Really? Do you see how nuts this stuff is? Silly man, do you get it? Hey, I mean, we have the medical evidence, but that's not the only one. Here's another one. This is a big study. This was 12 weeks again. You can't read it, but the Annals of Internal Medicine, one of the biggest medical journals in the world. Listen to this. After 12 weeks on time-restricted eating, the average weight loss was 4.6 pounds, and most of what they lost was not fat, but lean muscle mass. I can show you a third one. Well, let's go to another big study on intermittent fasting. Again, this is from the New England Journal of Medicine, probably one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world. 12-month study. One group of people just lowered calories. The other group did time-restricted eating. They didn't eat for 16 hours, eat for 8. Here were the results, silly man. By those people who lowered calories in a year, they lost on average 16 pounds. Those doing time-restricted eating only lost 12.6 pounds in a year, and both the group who lowered calories in a year and those doing time-restricted eating lost up to 40% of their lean muscle mass. That's what you're doing to yourself. This stuff is crazy, crazy. Your body needs fuel, and it needs it spread out over a long period of time. You never should go from 8 o'clock one night until noon the next day not eating. What are you, nuts? You know what you're doing? You're turning your brain goes nuts. It puts you in starvation mode, and you're losing up to 40% of your lean muscle mass. Why would you do that? It sounds good. That's what you were told. I really appreciate your feedback. It's nuts. It's crazy. None of these diets work. Now, let's go even a little deeper for all of you. Let's look at a massive study done by the Journal of the American Medical Association. Again, this time, 48 different studies. Did you hear me? 48. 7,286 people. In the 48 studies, they listed pretty much all the major diets. Paleo, keto, Mediterranean, cornerstone, Atkins, lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating, fasting, didn't matter. 12-month study. When they looked at, silly man, the most amount of weight loss to the least amount of weight loss in a year, the difference from most to least was 10 ounces in a year. They went on to say the average weight loss on all 48 studies was about 16 pounds in a year, and up to 40% of what people lost was lean muscle mass. Every diet you're going on, yeah, you're losing weight. It's the most unhealthy weight in the world. These researchers knew that. So their challenge, their theory was, because they don't sell anything. They don't have anything. They don't have a store. They're researchers. They're scientists. They said the flaw was when we put people on diets and we lowered the amount of food, we didn't take into account we were lowering nutrition because the food in North America we were feeding was already nutritionally insufficient. In case you didn't know that, our food in this country is becoming more and more nutritionally insufficient. So what did they do? Well, they put together a grocery list of 40% of the food you would consume if you did this comes from the grocery store. You'd have a list of proteins, fats, carbs, salad dressings, etc. But here was one of the keys. The researchers found other researchers who had found food sources in Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. No herbicides, no pesticides, but they had tremendous amounts of nutrition like our food used to have in this country 100 years ago. So they combined 40% of the food from the grocery store, which the researchers don't sell anything, and the fulfillment companies who supply the food to the research studies. As a matter of fact, if you did that, you buy it directly from those companies. You don't buy it from us or from the researchers. But what we provide is we teach you how to do the other part of it. So they had the ingredients, 40% from the grocery store, 60% from these 5 foods around the world. Then they created 2 new ways of consuming food. The first one was called protein pacing. How does that work? Well, here's how it worked. They started out each day, people had the 5 foods from around the world, which the researchers called the world's most perfect meals based on nutrition. not on based on quantity, but based on quality. So they started out with the world's most perfect meal, lunch from the foods from the grocery store, dinner from the foods from the grocery store, and watch this. People had a fourth meal, 4 meals over the course of a day, let alone alternate day fasting nonsense, right? Then, so that was 5 days a week. 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not time restricted eating. And on those 2 days, they consumed no food from the grocery store. And the only foods were the world's most perfect meals, but 4 times a day, spread out over 12 or 14 hours. That's exactly what I did. Look what happened to me. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 21 years. Not 21 weeks, not 21 months, 21 years. See, the whole reason to do this, by the way, the research, you know what they call this? R2M, stands for race to maintenance. Their whole goal is to get you to your goal, and now you're at the starting line. So that is the end of the beginning. Then they teach you, or they taught us, and we'll teach you, how am I able to keep 40 pounds off for 21 years and live my life? Now, if you want, only if you want, our website is, I'm going to put it up here again for everybody. It's free to go there. It's called The New Health Conversation. Here's what I'll promise you. If you go to that website, we won't contact you. There's no telephone numbers. We don't collect any data on you at all. The only way we'll contact you is if you fill out at the bottom, it says sign up for free, get the word free, personal consultation with one of our coaches. Our coaches have done the protocol and been trained, not somebody in 800 number checking off a box, oh, here's 5 recipes. Nonsense. You want real science or you want opinions? You can get opinions. There's plenty of people on TikTok. They're showing you, oh, buy our 200 recipes or 400 or 1,000. Sign up for our weekly program, then we'll get you a coach. Nonsense. We're not holding anything back. We're showing you the medical science up front. Everything's there for you to see. And then you get to choose. You don't have to spend anything to find out, how did I lose 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks and keep it off for 21 years. There's nothing on the planet like this. And it's the only protocol with 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies on this specific from scratch protocol. These other studies that I'm stating, they weren't done. The people that are doing time restricted eating, they didn't commission a peer-reviewed human trial study because they'd be exposed. I mean, like I was sharing with you, Silly Sam. I mean, would you be excited about doing alternate day fasting to lose about 5 pounds in a month and have heart palpitations and dizziness? Heart palpitations? Are you kidding me? This is crazy what we're doing. It's nuts because people are that desperate. I mean, we got 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. No wonder people are grasping at straws. And look at all the influences out there. What are they telling you? They're all telling you the same thing. It's some form of lowering the amount of food you're consuming. That's what they're telling you. It's the only way to lose weight. Nonsense. These studies right now, they've obsoleted. If you're on this podcast, you've now obsoleted any diet you've been on, you were thinking about, you're going to go on again, etc. I promise, if you go to the website and look at the medical proof, including an interview with the number one nutritional weight loss and physiologist in the world for 38 years, the number one expert. And in the interview, he says, we'll never recommend any form of traditional diet again. It would be unethical for our patients. He said, why would we have someone do 8 weeks of dieting to end up losing 40% of the lean muscle mass in water versus people on our program lost that much weight in 7 days, and in a month, they lost as much weight as a year, lost no water weight, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Oh, by the way, no one is allowed to exercise. Exercise wasn't a factor. The research didn't want exercise to be part of it. They wanted to see, could this new approach called R2M, what would it do on its own? Well, it blew them away. It should blow you away. You know what? What's crazy about this? The last reason to do this is to lose weight. The number one reason is to maximize your quality of life potential, because in a month's time, people's blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and triglycerides all came down dramatically in 30 days. But 2 other huge factors. Number one, hunger in the parts of it came down 41% in 30 days. Literally, people's cravings went away. But here was the big one. In case you didn't know, inflammation. according to the medical world, is the underlying cause of every disease out there. It went down in a month 25%. No diet, no intermittent fasting, alternate day fasting, paleo, keto has ever touched anything like that. Nothing. Zero. And I can say it, and I'm all hyped up. I get it. I'm hyped up on life, not on drugs. I don't do drugs. But you all have such an amazing opportunity. You potentially, Charlie or Ureli Pacheco, you get a chance to hit the reset button or not. You can go. That website is free. There's nothing there. We won't contact you if you go there. We rely on the medical proof. That's it. Nothing but the medical proof. Doesn't it sound like maybe you'd be a little bit curious? How did I lose 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks and keep it off for 21 years? I mean, it's just, that's what happens all the time. Most women lose a whole dress size in a week with no exercise. How much would that excite you with no exercise? Look, I know it's hard for you to wrap your heads around it. I do this. This is my 4th live podcast today. And this is live. It's not recorded. I'm here. I'm holding up my best-selling books, Why Diets Are Failing Us, The TDOS Syndrome, TDOS Solutions, and my 4th book called Your Third Brain, Not a Trick Title. I wrote all those books with major medical doctors, MDs, because I'm not an MD, and I wanted the medical stamp, and I wanted to make sure we didn't say anything in the book that wasn't legitimately medically sound for all of you. The website is for all of you. The website is for all of you to go there and see for yourself with no harassment. And even if you do decide you want to sign up for a free consultation with one of our coaches, those coaches, they're not there to convince you. They're not there to sell you. Now, why are we doing that? Because we don't know anything about you. We have people that want to gain weight. I just had a guy that just had a kidney removed. I mean, those are all different scenarios, and we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, and making any medical proclamations whatsoever. What we do is we're showing you exactly what they did in these medical trials to achieve these results. I mean, the fact that I've been able to keep 40 pounds off for 21 years, I think that sounds pretty good. All these other diets, it's nonsense. And here's another big myth. Okay, let me read this one. Well, it was once thought that the more fat you had, the less muscle you lost in a calorie deficit. That's totally been disproved, with both lean and obese people losing significant rates of muscle mass when dieting by lowering calories. How many more studies do you need to prove whatever diet you're on, it's one of the most destructive and unhealthy things you could ever do to yourself if it's based on lowering calories and ignoring the nutritional makeup of the calorie? Because the body doesn't even know what a calorie is. It doesn't count calories, you do, for some strange reason. But what you're ignoring is the nutrition. The hell with the calories. It doesn't mean anything. Pardon my French. Am I making sense to all of you? Do you all get this? Silly Man or Luna's dad or anybody else? Do you get this? Low protein intermittent fasting is not. I'm sorry, what do you, please expand on that. I'd love to hear your. Low protein intermittent fasting is not the same. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Because all I can tell you is that intermittent fasting, study after study after study. I mean, here we go right here. Here's a 3-month study. The average weight loss in intermittent fasting was 4.6 pounds, and they lost up to 40% of their lean muscle mass. Then this other big study in JAMA where they said in a 3-month study, the average weight loss was 2 to 3.5 pounds. The people gained almost no benefit, and the majority of what they lost was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. So I'm not exactly sure. I'd love to know. Please, fill in a little bit more on your Didnt. Please type in the comments. I'd love to see exactly what you're referring to. G. Wilson, David Lee. See up there at G. Wilson. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 21 years. 21 years. Does that sound pretty appealing? And we have the only medical proof. We have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Because the other thing, Ardenetic, on this program, men and women were not even allowed to exercise, and yet they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass and lost weight about 12 times faster than anybody that's ever done intermittent fasting. where, time restricted. I'm assuming you're referring to time restricted eating, which has been proven. And again, New England Journal of Medicine 12-month study where they had one group of people lower calories, the other people did intermittent fasting. In a year's time, the people that lowered calories lost 16 pounds in a year. The people who did intermittent fasting lost 12.6 pounds in a year. And both those lowering calories and those doing intermittent fasting lost up to 40% of their lean muscle mass. So the problem, there's a big misconception around protein, number one. I guess I should get into it right now for everybody. The biggest misconception is about protein. You'll hear them say, have 120 grams of protein, or, even people that are doing carnivore that are strictly consuming meat. Okay, so let's talk about the positives. The human body, the building blocks of life are called amino acids. There are 9 essential and there are 11 non-essential. And the only way we get amino acids is from a protein, from a plant or an animal. So that sounds good. I'm ingesting 120 grams of protein. Bingo. No, that has nothing to do with anything. In Europe, they developed, not my opinion, I'm giving you the latest science. In Europe, they developed a measurement. When you ingest protein from a plant or an animal, they can tell you through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they can tell you what percentage of those 20 amino acids are actually being used by the body. Well, shockingly, plant-based proteins have an absorption of only 10%. All meat, steak, chicken, liver, fish, doesn't matter, absorption 30%. These researchers found a source that actually been found by other people they used a source in the studies where the absorption of the amino acids from this protein source was 91%. 91. See, the whole key to this was, could you lower the amount of food you consume, but not lower the amount of nutrition? For example, like with intermittent fasting, something else you wouldn't get on all these recipes that I've seen people give out. But the other thing we're really deficient in are what are called trace ionic minerals. There are 70 that we need. In the best organic, if you're doing it as part of intermittent fasting, let's see, hold on just a second. Okay, in the context of muscle loss, if I'd expect staying in a fasting, mimicking ketogen or the macros. No, that's actually, no, that's not true at all. Let me finish. You'll understand why in a moment. See, this whole consumption of meat thing about getting amino acids is completely blown to hell with these new studies out of Europe, where they could measure when you ingested meat, for example, your absorption is only 30%. And the downside of that, 70% of what you're consuming is turned into toxic waste. They have a name. They're called nitrogen metabolites, urea, creatine, ammonia, and glucose, okay? God forbid you had a friend that was on kidney dialysis. They don't have any protein at all. So basically what the researchers, they found a source where the absorption of the amino acids was 91%. Let me put it in perspective for you. To get the same amount of amino acids from this one protein source, you'd have to eat 3 one-pound steaks. And obviously, number one, from the calorie standpoint of view, which the body doesn't, let's just talk about quantity for a moment, okay? So the point is that all of this stuff, the ketogenic range, all that stuff has been disproven. None of them work. I mean, we have 80% of America overweight, 50% are obese, 50% are pre-diabetic. I work with professional athletes. I work with one of the top trainers in Hollywood who's done ketogenic, who obviously eats organic, who's in incredible shape, right? He went on this. He started, to give you an idea, he started at 12% body fat, okay? In 14 days, he went from 12% body fat to 5% body fat and gained 5 pounds of lean muscle. No ketogenic diet, whatever. No, see, that's the problem. None of these work, okay? In a huge study where they did keto, they did 48 different, they looked at 48 different studies, from paleo to keto to Mediterranean to Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, fasting, the Cornish diet, the zone diet, lose weight for your blood type, across the board. In a year's time, when they looked at the most amount of weight loss, whether it was keto or paleo or whatever, to the most amount of weight loss, the total difference in a year was 10 ounces. And the other problem was, it didn't matter what the diet was, they lost about 16 pounds on average in a year, and up to 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. And as you may not, it sounds like you're pretty knowledgeable. If you understand that when we lose lean muscle mass, 2 incredibly unhealthy things happen to us. Number one, the body the brain slows down metabolism for us to survive because there's not enough fuel for the organs. But the second thing it does is even worse. It also interferes with our immune system, making us more vulnerable for, disease attacks and pathogens, etc. You got to understand the people who did this, they don't sell anything, Ardnick. And they had done 38 years, over 100 studies on every diet out there. The study that I was referring to here was done in the Journal of the American Medical Association, the 48 studies, 7,286 people. But these researchers, over the course of 38 years, had analyzed almost every kind of diet you could ever imagine. They never saw results like this. Can you imagine? I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 21 years. Hello? My gosh. Wow. Good for me, right? But, I love, if you want to put some more comments in there, meat refeeding should, okay, they lost 40% of the lean muscle mass, Ardnick. 40%. You got it? 40%. These are the top researchers in the world. I'm not giving you my opinion. That's an opinion. It's not based on facts. The point is that the way you build lean muscle in the body is with one of the 9 essential amino acids called leucine. So when you're eating steak, chicken, liver, fish, you're getting 30% of all 20 amino acids, including 30% of leucine. Well, the researchers in here, the people were getting 91% of all 20 amino acids. That's why they made lean muscle. No one was even allowed to exercise. So that whole thing about the high meat refeeding, nonsense, okay? Because it takes a combination of nutrition, number one, to support. But imagine, with no exercise, they gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. That's not happening on a ketogenic diet or keto or paleo or Mediterranean. Forget it, it's not happening. That's why this is so revolutionary, crazy. But here's what makes it different from all the influences that you're seeing, that you're following, that you're getting these opinions from. They don't have one medical study. None. Zero. They say, we got a scientific paper, or we did a clinical study on mice and rats. That doesn't count. That's why this is such a breakthrough. Not my breakthrough. These researchers, they've looked for this solution for 38 years. And my God, when they're talking about right here, Ardnick, study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. Johns Hopkins Medical School saying 86% of Americans will be overweight or obese by 2030. You go to the website, Ardnick, you will not believe. We've got people lost 100 pounds. They have no loose skin. There are athletes on there. Look at the transformation in 11 days. It'll blow your mind. This is real. This is based on science. It's not based on an opinion. Diets don't work. I wrote the definitive big bestseller, Why Diets Are Failing Us. I did 20 shows on PBS, interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. I've worked with the top medical doctors, oncologists, molecular biologists, geneticists, nutraceutical chemists, and researchers in the entire world. I'm not the expert. Please, everybody understand. I'm the researcher of the researchers. But we've brought the medical proof to all of you. You can go to that website for free. We won't even contact you if you go there. But listen to the interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. He's worked with Green Berets and Navy SEALs and NFL football players and CrossFit people. This is not a diet. We have people that want to gain weight. We have athletes that want to gain lean muscle and reduce their visceral fat. No diet. No diet's ever done this. No diet's ever shown a 25% reduction in inflammation. But here's the other thing that none of these diets you're talking about have any impact on, Ardnick. This medical syndrome, which you and me and every person in the world has, called teos. What does it stand for? T for toxicity, D for deficiency, O for being overweight, and S is for stress. What we're doing, whether you know it or not, we're drinking, we're breathing, we're eating chemicals in our body, your body, my body, all the bodies. As the body ingests these, the body takes them, first presents them to the liver. We now have more than 25% of Americans that have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That didn't even exist in 1976. There wasn't one case because the liver's overrun with chemicals. So now when it can't handle it anymore, it sends them out in the bloodstream, and the body's last line of defense is to take that chemical and stuff it inside our visceral fat. No diet has any impact on that. Well, in these studies where they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they proved that this was assisting the body. They measured it. They could see the herbicides and the pesticides, Scotchgard, Teflon, and even plastics coming out of the body. That's why to do this is not about a weight loss. It's not about getting in shape. It's about, in one sense, getting in shape by assisting your own body and getting rid of these chemicals that we're storing. You as an adult, me as an adult, we have between 1,000 and 1,500 chemicals stored in our fat cells. You think that's a good idea? I know you don't. I'm being facetious. You have to understand this is like nothing. This has nothing to do with dieting, has nothing to do with any of the information you've ever seen before, because the researchers never saw results like this. And when they started this, it was a theory. Could they lower the quantity of the food people consume without lowering the quality, the nutritional density of the food? That's what they did. And they accomplished it with only 40% of the food, even grass-fed, whatever you want from the grocery store, only 40%. And the other 60% came from these 5 foods that the researchers didn't find, and they don't sell it, and they don't have a company, they're scientists. But the research, the fulfillment companies that had found these foods over the last 25 years from all over the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, those foods had tremendous amounts of nutrition, but not tremendous quantities. So now they had the basis of this protocol. The ingredients were what? 40% from the grocery store, fats, carbs, proteins, fruits, etc., a long list. And then these other foods from around the world. And then they created 2 completely different ways of consuming food. The first one's called protein pacing. On a protein pacing day, 5 days a week they did, by the way, they started with these foods from around the world only. No food from the grocery store. Lunch from the grocery store food list, dinner from the grocery list, and then Arden and everybody else, a 4th meal. 4 meals on those days, 4. And then 2 days a week, here's the cool part. They did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not time-restricted eating, nothing to do with any of that, right? And what were the results? Well, men and women lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet ever studied, lost as much weight in a month as a year on any diet, lost no water weight, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass despite not being allowed to exercise. They wore Fitbits to prove, or something like a Fitbit, to prove they weren't exercising. I understand it's hard for all of you to wrap your minds around this. The researchers said the same thing. When they got the results back, because see, for 38 years, they'd always done blood, stool, urine, fat, and muscle analysis. So they had 38 years of experience, the data was, when they looked at they thought they made a mistake. They ran the numbers like 3 different times. And so you all understand, a peer-reviewed human trial study, there is nothing higher in medical validation. Let's use that as a word. What actually happens is, like these researchers, when they submitted to these big medical journals, they submitted their studies. The journals, like one of them is Obesity Journal, one of the top journals for weight loss in the world. They decide if they're going to publish it, they don't review your work. They send it out to other world-class experts like medical doctors and nutritional researchers. And you know what the job of those people are? To disprove what you're claiming. That's why, for example, no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial studies. Not on mice, not on rats, not in a petri dish. No, human beings. And that's why it's called a peer-reviewed human trial. Now, the reason that's so important is that the journals, when they publish things, they have to have hands off. Because otherwise you could say, well, they paid him to do the study and that's why they gave him good results. That's not how it works. It works by being in a position where you can see that the results are valid. And I know sometimes the drug companies, they certainly make mistakes. This has nothing to do with the drug companies. These researchers have nothing to do with any drug, pharmaceutical. They're researchers. 38 years they were trying to find the secret code for obesity and stumbled upon detox and all these other things that are happening that they never could have imagined. After 38 years of research, you'd think they had a lot of data? So, yeah, Ardnick. So again, Ardnick, if you didn't see it, let me make sure that you see the website. There it is. You can see it right under your name, the New Health Conversation, right? And when you go there, we won't contact you, I promise, Ardnick. If you like what you see, then sign up for a free consultation with one of to get all your questions answered. But I really appreciate your feedback. That is very, very constructive, etc. Now, so Silly Man or Luna's dad, or let's see, hold on just a second. For some reason, I'm not seeing. Oh, love the complexity. Okay, well, thank you very much. Ardnick, it's very complex, okay? It's definitely, but does it matter if it produces those kind of results? Do you want some simple? Do you want us to just give you 3 recipes to lose weight? I mean, I'm being facetious, but I see people on social media. That's what they're offering you. You can buy 200, 600, or 1,000 recipes. What did they even mention nutritional density? Did they mention the fact you need 70 trace ionic minerals and the food they're giving you has 20 minerals? What about the other 50? It's nuts. It's crazy. And they keep making up these opinions, these stories that have no bearing. So anybody else want to comment on any of what I've been talking about so far today? Because I'm at 40 minutes, so I'm gonna wrap this up because I got some other things I still need to do today. But Nan or anybody else on any of the platforms. So Nan, 08253, what you can do if you want, see right above my head, the new health conversation. That's the medical proof. I mean, look I lost 20 pounds in 18 days. Oh, okay. You don't care. You want to take 10 weeks to lose 2 ounces and gain it all back, I guess. That's what people want to do. It's so nuts with 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. You'd think that people would be dying for this information. Not dying in a bad, not dying, but it really curious. But they come on and they're so brainwashed by what doesn't work. They're unable to see the living reality that diets do not work. I wrote the book, Why Diets Are Failing Us. I mean, it's just totally nuts. So, does anybody have any last questions for me? Okay, well then I'm gonna end this podcast. And normally I try to do like 3. So tomorrow I probably would be like 11:30 Eastern time, maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock, and then 4 o'clock, and then like this one right now is at 6. I did 4 of them today. I'll probably do 4 tomorrow. But I want to encourage all of you to go to that website for free, the New Health Flower Smith. Again, you can see above my head here, visit the New Health Conversation Flower. I'm ending this podcast, but you can go there and see all the medical proof about how in the world did I lose 20 pounds in 18 days, lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off for 21 years. All of you, look at the headline. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off for 21 years. You can see Flower. If you go to the website, we won't contact you. There's no worry about that. But if you like what you see, you can scroll down to the bottom and sign up for a free personal consultation. And I mean free, okay? And for the rest of you, Lee Munoz. Well, thank you very much for listening. Did you have any questions, Lee? I noticed that you came on here. If you do, if anybody has any last questions, I'll stay. Deep our space. Again, for you, look at the headline. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks. 21 years ago, I've kept it off for 21 years. Most women lose a whole dress size in the first 7 days. They'll definitely, the people in the studies, they lost as much weight in a week as in a year. Oh, okay. You can still do this as a pescatarian, absolutely, for sure, Lee. But again, that's why you would want to go to the website, look at the medical proof, and then sign up for free consult. We have a lot of pescatarians that are doing this, okay? But the idea is that it's really more about empowering your own body to remove the chemicals from your body, which pescatarian, carnivore, none of them do anything along those lines. But how excited would you be, Lee? I don't know. If you can tell me if you'd like. Oh, great. But I'm just curious, are you looking to lose weight? Do you looking to gain weight? Are you an athlete? Do you have any medical challenges? Again, I'd love any input there, and I'll be happy to answer, because I don't want to cut anybody off that does have a question, or and obviously visiting the site is a good idea. But in the meantime, I'm happy. Okay, 50 pounds. Now, Lee, brace yourself, okay? With no exercise, I would anticipate, how tall are you? I'm just curious, Lee. I gained 50 pounds on the medication. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay. Are you still on that medication? Not that it matters. But you see, this is why we do a personal consultation with you, because those things matter. Okay. So I need to lose 50 pounds on 5'2". Okay. How excited would you be, okay, if in the first 11 days, you could lose 10 pounds, which would be 20% of what you want to lose. I would estimate in the first month, if you're typical, you're probably going to lose, okay, no longer taking it, good. But how excited would you be if in the first month you lose between 25 and 30 pounds, 50 pounds, probably 2.5 months? That's without any exercise. If you exercise, it might be a little faster than that. But keep in mind, the 50 pounds you're losing, yes, that would be exciting. I'll bet it would be. Because again, people are struggling big time because of the fact that they have the wrong approach. It's not your fault. It's the wrong approach. Does it make sense what I've been saying, Lee? Do you understand why diets can't possibly work? They're based on the wrong principle. They're based on when you lower the amount of food you're consuming. I don't care if you're pescatarian, carnivore, whatever, to lose weight, you're consuming less food, but you're consuming less nutrition. And the main thing you want to have to run your body is not calories, but nutrition. So does that make sense? So, and when you go to the website for any, as a matter of fact, Lee and everybody, let me show you just so you don't think I'm making this up. Okay. Hopefully you can see this, Lee and everybody else. There's the website. There's nothing to buy on that website. Not my books, not celebrity endorsements. It's all the medical proof. And if you like what you see, you can scroll down to the bottom. It says sign up for a free personal consultation. That's the most important part. And the other most important part of this is our whole goal is, like me, I lost the 40 pounds and I've kept it off for 21 years. How many of you have ever done anything like that on a diet? Alexis or any of you? Has anyone ever done anything like that? I mean, listen, I'm going to be devil's advocate here, okay? So let's say we didn't know anything about this and we just said, well, how are diets doing? Well, we have 80% of America today overweight, 50% are obese, and 50% are pre-diabetic, and 33% of our kids are pre-diabetic. Would anybody like to put in the chat, do you think that diets work? How would anyone rationally argue that point? And then we have a study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030 by Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. They're saying in 5.5 years, 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese. And they went on to say, but what's even more troubling, by 2048, they estimate nearly 100% of Americans will be overweight or obese if the current trend continues. What's going to change it? More ways to lower calories? Isn't that, go to Barnes & Noble. Look at all the diet titles. It's so sad. They don't work. Yeah, your old studies stated filter. Yeah, exactly. EMO, NPC. But you have to understand that the problem, but here's the bigger issue. 92.3% of Americans are estimated to be metabolically unhealthy. It's called metabolic dysfunction. If you have 3 of 5 factors, if you're overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, you're considered metabolically unhealthy. In these studies, in 30 days, all 5 of those came down dramatically in 30 days. Oh, by the way, your thing about but listen, EMO, guess who owns the food companies? The tobacco companies. I'm serious. I'm serious. I mean, and do you know, EMO, well, for all of you, do you know there was a great book called Salt, Sugar, and Fat? I didn't write it. It's written by Michael Moss. You all can get it if you want. And what he proved in 10 years, the food companies have spent $1 billion creating something called the bliss point. Like, nicotine's not addictive. Really? But anyway, let's come back to that. What they did, what they proved, or what he found out, is they hired food engineers. I never knew they existed, but they do. And what they did various combinations of salt, sugar, and fat, fed it to adults and children, and then did brain scans showing the different activity in the brain based on those combinations. And they created something called the bliss point, which was the exact amount of salt, sugar, and fat to see food, pleasure world, we'd starve to death. But you know what they used for the model to create the addiction? Cocaine addicts' brain scans. Do you know Harvard Medical School did a study about 3 years ago? They proved that sugar is 6 times more addictive than cocaine. You're right on with the filtered cigarettes and whatever. Look what we're doing. Look what's happening. I mean, they're talking about in 5.5 years, 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese. Does anyone think that's like cool? Is that working for you? For any of us? Yeah, there's countless testimonies. Oh, JD weight loss. Oh, thank you very much, JD, for coming on. That's nice of you. JD, he's a nutritional guru, went to school for it, et cetera, and started following me on TikTok. I guess it was a few months ago, and he's been very supportive in my, not that I needed validation because I didn't do the peer-reviewed studies in the first place, but I think he could tell you that in all his years of training, he's never seen anything like this. He doesn't work for me. I didn't ask him to come on. Forget it. So don't go down that road on me, everybody. I understand you're all skeptical, and you should be. I want you to be skeptical. But again, oh my God, Lee, that's the worst thing. I just saw your note. See, restricting calories. For all of you, let's go take a look at the old calorie dance that you're hearing. Let's first start with the first big article written by Harvard Medical School. It's all tethered. You can see that I've used it so much. The title of this is Harvard Medical School. This is it. Stop counting calories. Please, everyone, pay attention. Most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories significantly, specifically 3,500, and you'll lose a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is actually totally misguided. Harvard goes on to say the idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion. Instead, focus on what's in the food, not how much food you're consuming. This is Harvard Medical School. This is not my opinion. You might not like what I'm telling you because we've all been so brainwashed that the only way to lose weight is like what they're saying right here. You were taught to cut calories, specifically 3,500, and you lose a pound. That's out the window now. That doesn't work. Let's go to the next big one here that I know. Oh, yeah. This one's titled, Why You Shouldn't Count Calories. Again, please listen carefully. Truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count and restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. Lee, do you understand why you're gaining all the weight back by cutting calories? But let's not just stop with 2 studies. Let's go to more evidence here. Let me find it. Okay, this one is titled, Why Losing Weight Isn't About Cutting Calories. Again, not my opinion. Please understand. Don't get mad at me. People get mad at me. They want to take me on. I only give you medical facts. I don't give you my opinion, okay? This one is, Why Losing Weight Isn't About Cutting Calories. Amid all fad diets, calorie restriction continues to be a popular approach to weight loss. It turns out that cutting calories for weight loss is a misguided strategy that leads to the more unintended weight gain over time. This is the second big study saying that if you go on a diet by lowering calories, you're going to gain weight. Does that sound good to you? And here's another big misconception. What it was once thought was that the more fat you had, the less lean muscle you lost in a calorie deficit. This has been totally disproved in both lean and obese people. They're losing significant rates of muscle mass when dieting by lowering calories, okay? Now, let's go, have I got another one here? Yeah, they have another one. You've all heard I think you're all probably aware of this new trend and this big stuff on social media. Intermittent fasting, where you don't eat for 16 hours, you eat for 8. Let's take a look at that for a moment. Let's first start with a study in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Remember, I'm not giving you an opinion. I have nothing against the people that want to promote this, but they're showing you no medical evidence whatsoever, and here's why. So this is the Journal of the American Medical Association, one of the prestigious medical journals. They did the study on time-restricted eating, not the people that curated time-restricted eating. They said in the new research, they found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily, eating all their meals between noon and 8, popularly known as the 16-8 diet, gained almost no benefit from it, And over the course of 3 months, they lost an average of 2 to 3.5 pounds. And the most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. And yet I see these influencers telling you, well, the majority of what you're losing on time-restricted eating is fat. Really? Really? Well, let's go to another big study. This one done in the Annals of Internal Medicine. This again was a 3-month study, 12 weeks. How'd they do in this one? Well, they did a little better, but in 3 months, they lost 4.6 pounds, and they said right here that 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. Over and over and over and over and over again, the research says, I don't care what the name of the diet is you're on, up to 40% of what you're losing is lean muscle mass, which does 2 of the most unhealthy things you could ever do to yourself. Number one, the brain, when it senses there's not enough nutrition, fuel, see, that's all a diet is. When you're going on a diet, forget calories. The human body doesn't know what a calorie is. It doesn't count calories. A calorie is a measurement. What the body cares about is there's a minimum amount of nutrition that we need in order for the brain, the heart, the liver, the kidneys to work. That's their fuel. So what are you doing when you're going on a diet? You're lowering the quantity of what they're consuming, but you're also lowering nutrition, which triggers a reaction in the brain to put you in starvation for survival. This is about survival. So the body shuts down fat burning and turns to your muscles for fuel, and then it has to slow down your metabolism. There's no choice. And the other thing that does is even more unhealthy, it also interferes with your own immune system. You never mentioned that vitamin A is not a vitamin, it's rather poison. I've never even mentioned a vitamin A, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. Medical facts would mean something if there was more truth in it. Okay, so hate to love. What's your solution then? What is your solution? Because these were done by the highest researchers in the world. They don't work for pharmaceutical companies. They did blood, urine, fat analysis. So don't give me that nonsense. But I want to know. See, people come on and make those claims. Where's your medical evidence of anything? We have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. So I'm waiting for a solution. Where is it? This is the first one ever with 10 different medical journals. I mean, you could probably make that argument if it was one journal. But when you're talking about 10 journals interviewed by the top people in the world, and I've been doing this for 22 years. I've helped about 700,000 people collectively. They've lost somewhere between 14 and 20 million pounds. You can see my story. I lost absolutely. Disordered eating. I didn't say anything about disordered eating. You're making things up. It's not true. There's nothing to do with disordered eating. That has nothing to do with anything. I'm stating the medical facts from my own research, period, okay? So when we have people that come on that want to talk about things, I welcome you. Then show me the peer-reviewed human trial studies. We have to have a standard. We have to start somewhere. And where we are is 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, and 50% are pre-diabetic. Does anybody think that actually works? So Lee Munoz, how long have you been trying to lose weight? It says, I've only lost 7 pounds. In what period of time? If you want to mention that, okay? I lost 60 pounds, 240 to 180, only with walking 7-10 steps a day, no diet. Well, I'm happy for you. That's really good. But I will promise you, if you did an analysis. Okay, so let me ask you this question, Doof. What did you do about the teos syndrome? Put it in the chat for me. What did you do about the teos syndrome that me and you and every person in the world has? It's a medical syndrome. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. Whether you know it or not, you're breathing, you're drinking, you're eating chemicals. And your body is storing them inside your visceral fat. That's the fat around your organs. So I'm being serious. Have you ever heard of obesogens, by the way? Have you ever heard the term obesogens? Do you know what they are? Do you know how unhealthy that makes us in the long term? Because you've removed no toxins from your body, okay? Zero. Where in these medical trials, these medical studies, they proved through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis that this was removing or assisting the body in removing herbicides, pesticides. It's not a diet. It's not about the weight loss. And again, you lost 60 pounds, but how long did it take you? I lost 60 pounds only with walking. But how long? So I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. I don't mean to be disrespectful. How long did it take you to lose 60 pounds? I'd really like to know that. And again, I know that I'm not sure what we're talking about. I mean, TikTok came in and said I'm talking about disoriented eating. I'm not. No. We're reading from the proof. It's not a claim. I mean, we're giving people the truth. We're giving them an option. We're showing them what they could do if they choose to do it. We provide a free website. The medical research is there, not opinions. We're not making claims. So I don't know how you're picking up on disoriented eating. Nothing to do with that. So again, Doofenshmirtz. Gosh, I'm sorry. I'm probably butchering your name. I don't mean to. I lost 7 pounds in a month. Yeah, Lee. How would you like to lose 7 pounds in 4 or 5 days? How much would that excite you? Because it happens all the time on this protocol, and that's without any exercise at all. And again, the thing that we emphasize, we give you free access to the medical proof. And I think you can see it there. Let me put it up there again. Yeah, I know. Wow. Let me put that under your name so you can see. This is the free medical website you can go to. You can see it there, the new health conversation. Okay, I'm ready. Lee says, I'm ready to learn more. Well, that's where you want to go. The new health or it's above my head too. You can see it right there in the new health conversation. So Lee, go there, look at everything. If you like what you see, then sign up for a free personal consultation. It's 100% free. There's no gimmicks, tricks, or whatever to do, okay? Now, again, this podcast is for educational purpose only. It's not intended to treat, diagnose, make medical assumptions. We're only giving you medical proof. We're not making up anything. So apparently the TikTok, they picked up on something, but I think to avoid any confusion, we weren't ever talking about disoriented. We weren't talking about any conditions. We weren't talking about eating disorders. We had nothing to do with that. So please understand, we're giving people a real solution to the results of what's going on with 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. And we're talking about John Hopkins saying, we're just reading from the medical proof. It's all original content. We've done the research. We found the research. The study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030, where 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese, and nobody is putting in the chat a solution. What would it be? Does anybody think that actually works? And also, even to comment on vitamin A is not a vitamin, it's rather a poison. You need, as a matter of fact, let me explain something to you. One of the problems with vitamins in general, if you take vitamins without trace ionic minerals, you're just paying for expensive urine. So it's not just the A vitamin, it's lots of B's and everything else going on. And one of the things that the researchers found was a natural source of all 21 vitamins, nothing synthetic, nothing made in a laboratory, okay? So what they did in these studies was, the theory was, could they lower the amount of food people consumed, but not lower the amount of nutrition? And just so you all know, what I did, what you would do if you decided to do this, is you'd get a grocery list that they use in the medical trials. 40% of what you consume would be from your grocery store, and the other 60% would come from these 5 foods that were found by not by the researchers. The researchers don't sell you anything. I don't sell you anything. You buy directly from the companies who supplied the 5 foods to the studies. But listen to this, they give you a 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. Doesn't that sound pretty good? And you get a free coach because you've never done anything like this before. So we're there to educate you, and the coaching's free. If you go to the website and you like what you see, only if you like what you see, scroll down, sign up for free consultation with our coaches, and that's all free. And then that coach will follow you the whole time when you're doing this, or not. That's up to you. So would anybody else like to put in the chat any other questions? So again, Doof, I'm still curious about how long it took you to lose the 60 pounds. I mean, it's wonderful if you went from 240 to 180. I'm not discounting what you're doing. I'm just trying to point out that good enough, and that's really good, but it's nowhere near good enough for the world that we're living in today, where we have all these chemicals that again, I discovered this medical syndrome. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. So the Patent Office recognized this is a medical condition, medical syndrome, and everybody has it. Heck, they did a study, just to let you know, Doph, on newborn infants about 6 years ago, and they looked at their cord blood at birth when the babies were born. In their blood, they found an average 287 toxic chemicals in every baby that they tested. So how toxic do you think we are? We're pretty damn toxic. And if you look at all the disease statistics are exploding. Now, I don't want you necessarily to have to believe me. Let's go to the world-class experts and see what they're saying about these chemicals that, unfortunately, like I said, Doof, you didn't lose any of them in your great quest, okay? The Endocrine Society, the largest organization of experts devoted to research on hormones in the clinical practice of endocrinology, reports that the rise in the incidence in obesity matches the rise in the use and distribution of industrialized chemicals. These chemicals have a name, they call them obesogens. Listen to what they're saying. Simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our body from a variety of sources, from natural compounds found in soy, hormones fed to animals, plastic pollutants in food packaging, chemicals added to processed food, and pesticides sprayed on our produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen, blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, and essentially reprogram us to gain weight. What are any of you doing about obesogens? What are you doing about them? Did you even know they existed? Have you ever heard the term before? See, it wasn't until late 2005, 2006 that we even knew we were storing chemicals in our body. It's like, they said, it's like, it sounds strange that we wouldn't have ever done that. See, we have 80,000 chemicals in commercial use in North America. 2% have ever been tested for what they do to us as human beings. Do you think it might be a good idea if you could assist your body in getting rid of some of these chemicals? No diet touches it, by the way. It doesn't even touch it. But these researchers proved through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis that this was assisting your own body in removing the chemicals. You can all hold on to whatever beliefs you want. You can believe whatever you want to believe. You can believe the influences. But when you look at what's really going on, it's frightening. It's absolutely frightening. And you're seeing this, people like, I don't know if you've all seen Casey Means or Kaylee Means. She was a major surgeon at Stanford Medical School in California, walked away from medicine, just saying that I'm running out of options here with drugs, pills, surgery. We have the best surgeons. We have the best techniques. We have the best drugs in the world. And they it's called Escape Fire. You can see it on HBO. You don't have to believe me. It's probably 8 or 9 years old now, with the head of Medicare and the head of Medicaid saying that our healthcare system is really a sick care system and it's going to collapse. And we right now have 92.3% of Americans that are called metabolic unhealthy, with 3 of 5 factors. You're overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. Do you know in these medical studies, all 5 of those came down dramatically in 30 days? And again, back to DEF, and I'm not picking on you, I just want to point out something. The other thing, what you did, no evidence that lowered inflammation in the body. We all are affected by inflammation. It's the underlying cause of every disease out there. The inflammation went down in the studies by 25% in 30 days. People's hunger went down 41%. And in a month, people shrank their visceral fat, in which we're storing the chemicals, by 33%. That's why the weight loss part of this is like, that's just a throw-in. That's like ridiculous. And that's why I'd love to know how long it took you to lose the 60 pounds. I mean, it's great. I'm not, don't hear me say it's not good, but it's tiny fraction of what we can do to maximize our quality of life potential. I would say to all of you on this podcast, don't you want to maximize your quality of life potential? I know this will make all of you mad, but it's really true that you have no idea how bad you actually feel right now, because you don't understand how good you could feel, as good as you think you feel. Because, we work with professional athletes, we look at marathoners, CrossFit people, and everything, and they're shocked. I work with a big trainer in Hollywood who trains a lot of the big stars. He went on this, he started at 12% body fat. I'd killed to be 12% body fat. In 14 days, he went from 12% body fat to 5% body fat and gained 5 pounds of lean muscle. This is someone who only eats organic, really healthy, works out every day, does everything right. He was blown away. He couldn't believe it. I mean, that's why it's not a diet. It has nothing to do with dieting. That's an outcome, but that's not the main reason to do it, if that makes sense to all of you. Hello, Juan. Hello, Veronica. You can all see the headline up there, Veronica. I really lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and it kept it off for 21 years. 40 pounds, I've kept it off for 21 years. I mean, most women, for both of you, they lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise. They lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in a month. They lost no water weight and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. If you go to the website, you'll see before and afters. You will swear we photoshopped them. We did not Photoshop anything. You can't believe there are people that lost 100 pounds. They have no loose skin. How crazy is that? How good is that? The point is, don't we need an alternative? I'd like to know, either Juan or Veronica, please. Hello, Veronica. No, seriously, so are you looking to lose weight? Are you curious? I mean, how in the world did this guy lose 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and keep it off for 21 years? But how excited would you be, Veronica, if you lost a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise? They didn't let people exercise in the studies. They eliminated exercise. They didn't want exercise to be a factor. Look, I understand the more science I give you, the more skeptical you all become. But what do you want me to do? Should I not share the medical proof with you? Should I not tell you that you could lose a whole dress size in 7 days, lose as much weight in a week as in 8 weeks of any diet? On the website, for example, I'm going to show everybody right now so you know I'm not making things up. Here's the website. There's nothing on there to buy. There's no celebrity endorsements. My books, I've written 4 best-selling books. They're not on there. I don't want you to buy my books. But you can see everything you need to see, including the research studies, including an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world for 38 years who conducted over 100 studies, thousands of people. And you know what he says in the interview? He said, Peter, it would be completely unethical for us to ever recommend to any of our patients again a traditional diet. Well, think about it. He said, why would we have people put on a diet that would take them 8 weeks to lose the weight, but 40% of what they're losing is lean muscle, compared to this, where the men and women in these studies lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of dieting, lost no water, and ended up in a month gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, lowered blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides in 30 days, lowered inflammation. No diet's ever done that, by 25% in 30 days. And no water weight, and hunger went down 41% in a month. I know it sounds too good to be true. It's like science fiction or something. But think of all the things we have today that if you would have gone back, let's say 30 years, maybe 40, I don't know. The internet, Google, iPhones. How the hell does GPS work? What do you mean there's a car on this? I mean, it's like, I kind of know how it works, obviously, but I'm just saying, think about that. Think about where we've come. This is crazy. They're talking about going to Mars, for crying out loud. And for those of you that don't think we landed on the moon, I guess you're not going to believe we land on Mars either, but that's a different story. But honestly, ladies and gentlemen, we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Do you really believe any of these things you're seeing on social media from these influencers that are not showing you one shred of medical evidence? And we have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies proving everything I'm saying, Veronica or Juan. And if I'm mispronouncing your name, please forgive me. I'm a scientist researcher. I'm not, and I'm relatively new to social media, although my site is really blowing up and we're getting tremendous follow-up and follow-throughs. Because again, we're the only people on social media with medical proof on all my platforms. It's because I know somebody's going to watch this on a rebroadcast. But I'd love input. Hello, 72 Shadow. Hello, welcome. And again, please read the headline. This is me. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks. It's not a diet, and I've kept it off for 21 years. I always tell ladies, I say, look, would you be excited if you could lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise? I always tell them that, you know what the most expensive part of this whole thing? The new wardrobe you have to buy. And they make me laugh because several of them have said, no, Peter, you don't understand. I can go shopping in my own closet. But we want to put your dreams back. We want you to be able to move down those sizes and create energy and lower your stress levels and sleep better at night and clear up mental fog and just make you healthier in general. The main reason to do this is not to lose weight. That's like a throw-in. It's the least important reason. The researchers who created this, they don't sell anything. They don't have a company. They're scientists. And for 38 years, they did 100 studies, thousands of people on every diet we could name, pretty much. And they said, their conclusion was, how do you do it, sir? Okay. Just call me Peter. Sir is like, I'm just Peter for everybody. Okay. I'm this crazy, mad scientist researcher. I'm Peter. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to explain that. That's what I was about to Juan right now. So the researchers, after 38 years, 100 studies, thousands of people, they came to some stark reality. On every diet they ever analyzed, people always lost weight. But, and here's the but, through blood, stool, urine, fat, and muscle analysis, every time people were losing up to 40% of their lean muscle mass. As a result of that, your body does two of the most unhealthy things you could ever have happen to you. First one, it slows down your metabolism. That's why you plateau on these diets. That's why you gain everything back coming off a diet. But the other thing it does to you that you wouldn't even believe, it also interferes with your own immune system's functionality. Okay? So your diet's doing something to you. It's not doing something for you, although, you're excited about the number on the scale and you're fitting in your skinny jeans. Okay. So the researchers said, wait a minute, we got to do something different. So here's how I did it and how you would do it if you decide to embark on this. So first of all, let's get some fundamentals out of the way. Number one, the body has a minimum amount of nutrition that we need in order for all the organs in the body to work, not calories. It has nothing to do. Human body doesn't know what a calorie is. It's just a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water, 1 degree Celsius. That's it. So let's get that out of the way. So when you go on a diet, what you're really doing is lowering the amount of food you're consuming. And the researchers realized the other thing they were doing, they were lowering the amount of nutrition. When your brain sensed you drop below the minimums, it freaks out, goes in starvation mode, stops you from burning fat, and turns to your muscles for fuel. It's a given. It's not made up. It's not some sales gimmick. That's what's happening to you, whether you believe it or not. And that's what causes the slowdown in your metabolism. That's why you gain everything back. By the way, the metabolism we're talking about here is what's called your basal metabolic rate. That's a scientific term for the amount of calories you burn when you're at rest, you're sleeping, sitting at your desk, not when you're working out. It's like 23, if you work out an hour a day, the other 23 hours really determines your weight. It's called the basal metabolic rate. When you slow that down, it doesn't come back, that fat. So it's not like you stop the diet and now your metabolism comes back. That's not how it works. So the researchers said, look, could we lower the amount of food people consume, but not lower the amount of nutrition? That was the theory. Remember, it was the theory. These researchers, they don't sell anything. They don't have a company. They don't have any foods to sell you. So the first thing that they did, they created a grocery list you would take to the grocery store: fats, carbs, proteins, etc., and fruits, sorry. But only 40% of what you're going to consume would be from that grocery list. And there was a reason for that. The reason is our food in this country is becoming nutritionally insufficient. Let me give you a couple quick examples. The first one is we need 70 what are called trace ionic minerals. In the best organic, you get 20 out of 70. Wait a minute, we need 70. How are we getting by with 20? Now, what are trace ionic minerals? It's things like not iron, calcium, magnesium. You've all heard of those. But trace minerals are things like gold and silver and zinc and beryllium and boron and molybdenum and a whole list more. So even when you're trying to eat healthy, you already have a huge deficit. It's like if you had an 8-cylinder car, it's like you just unplugged 6 cylinders. And we're wondering why we're tired at the end of the day, and we're stressed or whatever. The body's in a deficit, even if you're trying to eat healthy. So now you go on a diet and you lower the food more. You understand, you get the 20 minerals. It doesn't matter how much you eat, you're still getting 20 out of 70. I want you to get the concept here. So the researchers found a source that had all 70 minerals. So they were creating really the world's most perfect meals. Now they did that because of these suppliers who had gone all over the world they went to places like Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, to find these food sources that had tremendous amounts of nutrition, but not huge quantities. So 40% came from the grocery store, and 60% came from these 5 foods from around the world, which the researchers don't sell you. I don't sell it to you. You buy directly from those fulfillment companies who, by the way, in the first 30 days, those fulfillment companies, they give you 100% money back guarantee if it doesn't work. What? Who on social media is offering you that? I see these people that are going to sell you, 1,000 recipes, and you can sign up for $10 a month or $30 a month, etc. Where's the 100% money back guarantee on any of it? It's all nonsense. So now they have the ingredients, right? 40% from the grocery store, 60% of these foods. Then they created 2 new ways of consuming food, never done before. The first one was called protein pacing. What the heck is that? Well, 5 days a week, they had people start with the world's most perfect food for breakfast. Lunch came from the grocery store. Dinner came from the grocery store. And then they had them have a 4th meal. You heard me. 4 meals a day. What? That's unheard of. Because it was based on nutritional density. It was based on quantity. It wasn't based on, it was based on quality, not on quantity. I misspoke. I'm sorry about that. 5 days a week. 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, they consumed these 5 foods 4 times a day, spread over about 12 or 14 hours. And what were the results? Men and women lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in a month as a year in any diet, lost no water weight, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Because every diet we've talked about so far today on this podcast, every diet, the main thing, you're going to lose weight. Say you lose 20 pounds, 40% is lean muscle mass. That's 8 pounds of lean muscle, and you have to understand that, according to the experts, to get back 1 pound of lean muscle, if you go to the gym and you do everything right, it takes you about a year. So you're losing 8 pounds of lean muscle. You can imagine what's happening. You wonder? And let me give you some more proof. So The Biggest Loser, I know a lot of you saw that show a number of years ago. Those people lost like 100, 150 pounds. They worked them out, 6 or 8 hours a day. They had them on 600 calories. Well, they did a follow-up study about 4 years ago, and sadly, they've gained back all their weight. And when they measured, they said that they have slowed down their metabolism by as much as 30%. How sad is that? Unless you think I'm not sensitive to this, my own mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy, and I loved her. And a huge reason why I'm on this call today is because of her. Because 23 years ago, she called me up one day and she said, Peter, I have one wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could spend one day thin. I said, wow, Mom. I saw all the fat shaming. I saw the kids whispering and, all the kind of stuff behind her back. I lived through that. If any of you are going through it, it's absolutely horrible. Okay. I'm totally on support. So after that conversation, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. Out of that tragedy, I became inspired. I said, something's terribly wrong here. Because my mom did about every diet there was. I'm not kidding you. She went to Weight Watchers. She followed Oprah. She did OptiFast. She did the grapefruit diet. She did, I can't list them all, how many diets she was on. I'd see her lose 20, gain 25 back. Lose 25, gain 30 back. So I have a passion for this. My mom didn't get a do-over. I can't prove it, but I really, knowing what I know now as a researcher, grapefruit technique. You don't understand nutrition. Yes, Jake, yeah, Jake, I'm glad that's a pound per year for a Ronnie Coleman, not a normal human. That's a pound per year for a Ronnie Coleman, not a normal. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Carl Parks. Pretty well known, very satisfying, helps curb hunger, natural whole foods. So I'm getting a lot of, Hawkeye, really? Oh, that's just too bad. It's just too bad that you'd be that dumb to say something like that when the only thing I'm referring to are peer-reviewed human trial studies. So Hawkeye, have a wonderful day, right off into the sunset, okay? What I'm saying to all of you is that I'm holding in my hand 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, okay? Everything I'm sharing with you is provable. As a matter of fact, on the website, we have, I think, 3 or 4 of the most important peer-reviewed studies, because including a brand new study that just came out about 2 months ago in Nature Communications. For those of you who don't know, it's the #1 medical journal in the world. It has nothing to do with the weight loss in this protocol. This was actually about the gut microbiome. In case you don't know, that's pretty much your immune system that resides in your gut. And the results that they got were staggering. That's why don't do this to lose weight. That's the throw-in. That's going to happen anyway. It's all the medical improvement that you can have, okay? So, yeah, Jake, what was amazing, Jake, in the studies in just the first month, people's hunger came down 41%. Because again, they'd never seen this density of nutrition, concentrated. That's why it worked. Because, Jake, it sounds like you're very knowledgeable. We're not hungry for calories. Hell, we don't even know what a calorie is. The body doesn't care about calories, right? So, okay. The muscle gain, running Como is the biggest story. Oh, I see what you're saying, Carl Parks. Well, this is not steroids. And this, they gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise. Look, Ronnie, just so you know, Carl, it's in the medical studies. You can go and see it yourself. And if you understand about peer-reviewed human trial, not a scientific study, not something on mice or rats, but human beings. It's staggering. We have fitness trainers. We have NFL football players. They have this is crazy. No one's ever seen anything like this. My friend, who's one of the top Hollywood trainers, he does not on steroids. He started this at 12% body fat. I'd kill to be 12% body fat. Listen to this, in 14 days, Carl, he goes from 12% body fat to 5% body fat and gains 5 pounds of lean muscle. I understand all of you have trouble wrapping your head around it, or, someone's going to make a stupid comment like, somebody did there about snake oil. I don't know where you buy snake oil, and I sure as hell don't sell it, because everything I'm sharing with you is based on medical proof, period. And you can go to our website. You can actually, I'm going to put it down in the comments again for everybody to see. It's free to go there. And the only thing on that website is the medical proof of exactly what I'm talking about today. But look, I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 21 years. It's good enough for me. I'd love for anybody to put in the comments, what do you think's working today? We have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic, 33% of our kids are pre-diabetic. This thing is out of control. And then we've got Johns Hopkins Medical School saying, study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. In 5.5 years, they're saying 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. They go on to say even more troubling, by 2048, if the current trends continue, they estimate nearly 100% of America will be overweight or obese. So how are these things working? They're not. We wrote the definitive book in 2010 called Why Diets Are Failing Us. And then I discovered a medical syndrome that you all have called TDOS. I have it too. Toxicity, deficiency, overweight, and stress. See, we're storing chemicals inside our body, whether you know it or not. We're breathing it, we're drinking it, we're eating it. No diet, no anything has ever been proven until now to assist the body in removing herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon and even plastics from our bodies. But we have the medical proof. It's not something I made up. So, let's see, who else? Okay, boat beacons, we have lots of people that want to gain. So boat beacons, what are you doing? Stem fast diet, lost 6. Oh, come on. What are you doing that for? We have people on here that are serious. You're not serious. It's just ridiculous when people waste other people's time, your time, by coming on and making ridiculous comments like that. I have nothing to do with poisoning our food. I'm sorry. Again, let's see. You blocked. Okay. IDK, what a stem fast diet is. I don't know what a stem fast diet is. I don't know either. I've never heard of that before. But again, whatever you did, I hope it works for you, but the evidence is pretty overwhelming. When they're saying things like, let me read from this other big article here that I know I've got it. Oh, here it is. Why you shouldn't count calories. The truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to counter restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. So the chances of you gaining all the weight back and more than what you have lost, I'm not talking to anybody specific, I'm talking in general, 66 and 2/3 of you weigh more. Why the hell did you go on the diet in the first place? To end up weighing more than when you started? Does anyone really think diets work? How could we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic? Go to Barnes & Noble, look at how many diets there are. This is a new one I never even heard of, the STEM fast, whatever that is today. I'm not even saying, I just never heard of it. I can't make any comments about it if I haven't heard of it. I'm just telling you the medical evidence is overwhelming. These researchers who created this, 38 years, 100 studies, thousands of people on every diet out there. They have the proof. People lost weight on every diet, but 40% of what they were losing was lean muscle, slowed down the metabolism. They gained back more weight than they lost, and they also slowed down their own immune systems. This is what's really going on. We can pretend it's not happening. And people for some reason. So both beacons, I'm underweight, you want to gain weight, okay. Yes, they work. I'm not sure what you were talking about. Scoreboard, haha, yes, they work. I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't answer questions that I don't understand the context of it. So if it's an inside joke, that's cool too. I'm not here to debate anybody, ladies and gentlemen, okay? There's plenty of people on social media. They'll give you all these opinions. They don't have one shred of medical evidence. And unless you have scorecard. I'm saying diets work, scorecard. Well, let's go to Harvard Medical School here, okay? I don't ever want you to believe me because you think maybe I'm making things up, but I'm not making things up. So here's Harvard Medical School, stop counting calories. Well, first of all, scoreboard, is there any diet out there you can think of that's not some form of lowering calories? But let me just tell you now what the experts are saying about counting calories. This is Harvard Medical School. Stop counting calories. Most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories specifically 3,500 and you lose a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is actually really misguided. They go on to say this idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, said Stanford. It's time to take a different approach by emphasizing what's in the food, not how much food we're consuming. That's Harvard Medical School. See, I don't know why people want to take me on, but I guess they do. Science doesn't care about me. It doesn't care what kind of tie I have or glasses, or I shouldn't have a tie or two, whatever. It doesn't matter. The great thing about science is it has no agenda, it has no emotions, and it certainly has no prejudice. Where we are today, I'll liken it to 550 years ago when the smartest people in the world said what? They're all saying the same thing, the world's flat. How'd that turn out? So what are we doing now? All these diets, at the end of the day, they're all the same thing. You're lowering the amount of food you're consuming. I don't care if it's paleo, keto, Mediterranean. I don't know about the STEM, so I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know what it's about. And again, on any of these diets, all the evidence is overwhelming. Look, let me read this for all of you. So this was done in the Journal of the American Medical Association, a one-year study, 48 different studies, 7,286 people. And they looked at, and they named all the big diets across the board, except the STEM. I don't know about that, so I'm not going to comment. But they did paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating, fasting, alternate day fasting, the Cornish diet, the zone diet, lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, on and on and on. In 12 months, when they analyzed the most amount of weight loss to the least amount of weight loss, it was 10 ounces in a year, and the average weight loss was 16 pounds in a year, and up to 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. That's, unless you think they made it up, they have no dog, they don't have any agenda. Well, what would be their agenda to make things up? They did the analysis, that was it, those are the numbers. Tracy Mann at the University of Minnesota, she's been doing this for like 25 years. They've analyzed, I don't know how many. She said the one thing they found about diets, this will shock you, the 100% guarantee, two things. Number one, the weight loss you would lose was up to 40% lean muscle. And every diet they ever studied, the one guarantee, you would gain weight. Maybe you don't believe that. That's okay. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not here to convince you. I'm not here to sell you. We are providing you with a free Okay, so scoreboard, let me just tell you, the people in the studies, they were not allowed to exercise. They wore Fitbits proving no exercise. Not that they're against exercise, but they had to isolate it. So I'm just curious, how much weight have you lost over what period of time? Scoreboard, besides knowledge, I'm not quite, I don't understand your comment. What's besides? So again, I'm just curious, how much weight have you lost over what period of time? Please put it in the, and I'm not sure about besides knowledge. Because again, I'm not saying, look, here's the thing, we'll guarantee, I don't care what diet you're on, you're going to lose weight. All I'm saying is that 40% of what you're losing, whether you knew it or not, is your lean muscle mass. Wait till you stop the diet, you're going to gain all your weight back and more. That's what all the medical proof is. It's not an opinion on my part. Let's take a look. I got another study here for those, and understand I'm not against the shots, the GLP-1s. Okay? I'm not. But we got the study right here. 68 weeks, New England Journal of Medicine. After 68 weeks on the shot, semaglutide, the average weight loss in the study was 32 pounds, and they said right in the study that 40% of the 32 pounds was lean muscle mass. I mean, I understand. People get mad when I just tell them the facts. They want some alternate universe. I can't provide that for you. I'm just reading from the, it'd be one thing if I was looking at one study, but we're looking at study after study after study after study. I've been doing this for almost 22 years. And I mean, as a nutritional researcher, I'm not the source. It's not my research, but we're bringing, that's why they call me the researcher of the researcher of the researchers. And see, the other thing that happens here, while it was once thought that the more fat you had, the less muscle you lost in a calorie deficit. That's since been totally disproved, with both lean and obese people losing significant rates of lean muscle when dieting by lowering calories. I mean, it's not related. It's not a conspiracy. Harvard Medical School, other studies over here is another study where they said why losing weight isn't about cutting calories. Amid all fad diets, calorie restriction continues to be a popular approach to weight loss. It turns out that cutting calories for weight loss is a misguided strategy that leads to the more unintended weight gain over time. That's what you're setting yourself up for. It's not up to me. It's up to you. Don't you think it would be, are you a little bit curious to go and see the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist interview on our website in the world? They don't sell anything. They have no dog in this hunt. They're researchers. Please understand that. So it's not like they have an agenda that they did the study and then they're selling. No. It's not how it works. But imagine, I lost 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off for 21 years. Can any of you say that? No, you can't. No. Scoreboard, we have people losing every month 35 pounds in a month. Are you kidding me? And let me explain to you about who's not fit. What are you talking about? Who's not fit? Because see, you're going to get mad at me when I tell you this, but your whole thing about protein, I'm going to blow it to hell. In Europe, about 8 years ago, they developed a test. When you ingest protein and you think you're ingesting like 100 grams, you're getting 100 grams of protein. Nothing could be farther from the truth. The only reason you ingest a protein is for the amino acids. 9 are essential. You have to get them from protein. The other 11 are non-essential. So let me scorecard. Let me give you the science, okay? In Europe, when they looked at blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, when you ingest protein from a plant or an animal, I'm assuming you're doing animal proteins, okay? They were able to measure what the percentage of the absorption. Because see, this will blow your mind, okay? Scoreboard. Protein itself is a poison to us. It's a toxin. What's not converted into amino acids, the kidneys have to get rid of. They have a name. They're called nitrogen catabolites. The byproduct of the protein that's not converted to amino acids, nitrogen catabolites are urea, creatine, ammonia, and glucose, okay? In Europe, when they did the analysis of all meat, steak, chicken, liver, fish, whatever, the absorption was only 30%, 30, okay? Out of 100. 70% is waste that the kidneys have to get rid of. Well, these researchers found a source of protein where the absorption, you ready for this, was 91%. Meaning, to get the same amount of, just to put it in perspective, 1 serving of this protein, you'd have to eat 3 1-pound steaks. So yes, you think you're getting protein, you're not. But you're getting a fraction. So no matter how much you're getting 30%, the protein itself is useless to us. It's a poison. It's a toxin. I mean, I'm not making this stuff up, and it may make you mad, and you may do whatever you want to do, but those are the medical facts. And the researchers in Europe, they have nothing to do. They're researchers. That's what I try to get across to everybody. They don't have so the researchers in Europe they're not selling anything. They're researchers. They're doing analysis, trying to figure out human health. That's what physiologists do. It's one thing to be a nutritionist. It's another thing to be a physiologist studying the impact of these nutrients inside the body on the organs, okay? Okay, so shit app. Yes, on a diet, that's totally true. Here's the difference, shit app, what a name. Here's the difference. In the peer-reviewed studies, instead of people losing lean muscle, which is the knock to lose more than 2 pounds a week on any diet, I was just explaining, on every diet, you're losing up to 40% of your lean muscle mass. In these studies, the people gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. And also, all the new studies say the faster you can lose weight in the right way without losing weight, without losing lean muscle, is the healthiest thing you could do. So again, one of those old wives' tale, blown to hell. On a regular diet, if you lost 2 pounds a week or more, you're in trouble. This is not a diet. It doesn't work anything like that. So I appreciate your comment. But again, the medical evidence now is completely contrary to that old thing. Plain yogurt, protein shake, chicken, turkey, eggs, all part of a good diet. Scoreboard, did you listen to me what I said about the absorption of the amino acids? Were you not paying attention to that? So everything you're saying there, you're at about 30% absorption. 30%, not 91. No, not high protein, low calories. No, you missed the whole thing. See, that's the problem. It's an opinion that's not based in science. If you're doing steak, you're getting 30%, 70% of what you're consuming with all those things is turned into toxic waste your kidneys have to get rid of. That's why when people on kidney dialysis, they don't have any protein at all. And yet it's the one thing that they really need to remake their bodies. Scoreboard, I wish you success. I really do. I hope it works. All I'm saying is from a medical standpoint of view, what you're doing is really, really ineffective. If you're telling me that it took you, how many months was it? Let me look up here. It's a total joke. You lost, let me see here. Where were you? It took you, how come I can't find it now? Sorry about that. Let me see. 35 pounds in 6 months. That's a joke. We got people losing 36 pounds in 3 weeks. I mean, you've proved my point. That's what the researchers found. That people, it took them months. It took them 8 weeks to lose what people lost in a week. I mean, you could keep doing what you're doing. It's nonsense, though. And the chances of you gaining all the weight back are 66 2/3%. Not because I said so, because I wish you well. I hope it works. But it's not working for 80% of the population. But 36 pounds in 6 months, and you're working out. These people didn't even work out. They lost 16 pounds, men and women, in the first month. Your scorecard. What, you mean the people? No, listen to me. They didn't lose any muscle mass. They gained 6 to 9% lean muscle. What are you not hearing I'm saying? Am I like in an echo? Am I talking to myself? Is no one listening? They gained. They didn't lose any muscle mass. They lost no water. That's what makes this so revolutionary. And again, what are you doing about the teos syndrome? Seriously, scoreboard, what are you doing about teos? You're storing chemicals inside your visceral fat, whether you know it or not. Can ignore it. Every disease we know is exploding because we're storing chemicals inside of us. What program, what emphasis do you have to remove chemicals from your body? Because nothing what you're doing has any impact on that. Never been, no study ever showed that what you're talking about removes toxins from the body. It's the main reason to do this. It's not about losing the weight. That's a given. That's like, look, it took me 18, took 6 months to lose 36 pounds. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. That's less than 2 months. But I've kept it off for 21 years. Hello? Scoreboard, please do yourself a favor because I'm gonna run out of time. Wow, it's 5 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock in the East Coast. Scoreboard, here's what I would invite you to do, okay? Go to the website. I'm going to put it up there for you. It's free to go there, and I promise we won't contact you, okay? What I'd like you to do, there's an interview there with the #1 nutritional researcher in the entire world, okay? And watch that. And if you like what you see, then you can set up a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. You don't have to do that. We're showing you all the medical evidence with no strings attached. Only if you like, listen to him talk about the fact they've never seen anything like this. The fact people gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass despite losing weight 12 times faster than any diet ever. I mean, seriously, we had a guy, now granted, he weighed 360. I'm sure you don't weigh 360. I don't know, maybe you do. So in 50 days, he went from 360 to 280 in 50 days. Now we're talking. You can see it on the website. You'll see the before and afters. You'll think you'll accuse me of photoshopping him. I don't know how to Photoshop. Go, it's free to go there, and we're not even going to contact you, Scoreboard. Aren't you just a little bit curious? Or you think I'm completely nuts, which maybe you do, and that's okay. But the science is the science. There's no editing. There's no photoshopping those pictures. Go see for yourself. It'll blow your mind. That's the difference. We have medical proof. I'm not giving you my opinion. I don't want anybody to believe me, believe my opinion. It shouldn't matter. I'm the researcher of the researchers. Okay. Allie. Hi, Allie. Hope you're doing well. One of my friend's daughters is on here. That's nice of you. So again, Scoreboard, rather than us going back and forth, you can go look at it yourself and see what you think. Don't think I'm discounting what you're doing. I'm showing you a comparison. It's like that is the good enough approach that we have in this world today. It's not working. And you're doing nothing of removing chemicals from your body, which is the main thing you should be concentrating on, not fitting in your skinny jeans. Hell, listen, Scoreboard. I went from a 42-inch waist to a 34-inch waist in 18 days, 21 years ago. I'm still in 34-inch jeans today. That's all I can tell you. No, I really would appreciate your input. I know this is really fun. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well as well, Allie. And Scoreboard, look, we want to provide a safe place for people to go to see the medical proof. If you go there, we won't call you. There's no information we're going to gather on you. If you decide, because you get to see everything. Let me show you right now. Here's the website. Scoreboard. There's nothing to buy there. No books, no celebrity endorsements, nothing. It's just the medical proof, including, you'll see down there, the before and afters, which aren't just about the weight loss, but about the A1C and the blood pressure and the blood sugar, the cholesterol, the triglycerides, and the inflammation. That's the thing that should excite you. And it's free to go there. And we won't know if you went there unless you contact us. So does anybody else have any questions? Danielle or I see Juan is still on there. Does anybody else? Yeah, I'm great. Does anybody else have any questions or comments or anything that they'd like to put there? You can see above my head the new health conversation. You can also see it in the chat. I typed in the new health conversation. It's totally free to go there. There's no tricks, there's no gimmicks, there's no anything. We're not contacting you if you go there. Maybe some of you want to go to prove me wrong. The problem with that is when you have peer-reviewed human trial studies, they're what are called irrefutable medical evidence. They're in the public domain, they're published, there's no way to edit them. And the researchers who submit their work, they have no input over the final. When you get published, you have to agree to give up all your rights to your research. And the reason that these weight loss programs won't do this is because if they run the research and it doesn't match up with what you're claiming, they'll publish that. They'll publish the bad results. And that's really why you won't see any of these on their own, whether it's paleo, keto, Mediterranean, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem. They don't commission peer-reviewed human trial. They'll say, oh, we got a scientific study. That doesn't mean a thing. It means zero. You want to look at peer-reviewed human trial studies, period. So anyhow, so does anybody else have any final questions or comments or whatever it might be? Michelle's, Park, Les, or in other words, Michelle, I know you're coming on late. I'm just at the end of this. But if you go, you can see the website right here above my head, the New Health Conversation. It's also down here. That's a free medical website where you can go and see the evidence. You can see a walkthrough of exactly how did I lose 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and keep it off for 21 years. 21 years. Most women lose a whole dress size in 7 days. So Michelle, would that excite you? Imagine a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise allowed. Nobody was allowed to exercise. Does that make sense? I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's not. So would anybody else? So what did I eat today? I ate the 5 foods from around the world, and I'm going to have probably for dinner tonight, I'm probably going to have lean chicken and a salad, whatever. But I'm not some monk. I mean, football weekends, I'm having Lay's potato chips. But I know Lay's potato chips in particular, I can't just eat one. So I just surrender. I get a smaller bag, whatever. I'm sure you've all experienced that. Listen, Scoreboard, I've been doing this for nearly 22 years. I've kept it off because the key to this is to get you to the point where you've lost whatever weight you want and then teach you how to stay there for the rest of your life, hopefully. That's why it's called R2M, Race to Maintenance. But it's not about the initial, like the 36 pounds you lost, congratulations. The thing that should concern you is, are you going to be able to maintain that weight loss? Based on the evidence, I hope you do, but the medical evidence is pretty clear that you probably aren't going to be able to keep it off. And then what? Then you go on a different diet and a different routine. This is the only thing that's ever been out there that's, well, again, like I told you, you can see my numbers. I lost half of what you lost. I'm sorry, I lost almost 3/4 of what you lost in 18 days. And then in 7 weeks, I lost 40, more than you've lost in 6 months. And I'm not that unusual. I'm pretty typical of what we're seeing. For almost 22 years, we've done 700,000 people, helped them, lost 14, 15, 20 million pounds in that time frame. I know there's lots of influencers out there that want to tell you about all these, but they don't have one shred of medical evidence, not one shred. And Scoreboard, I would really invite you to go to the website. Look at the evidence. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to do other than that. I mean, is that unreasonable on my part? We put the website there for people to see the real medical proof. What they do with it, it's up to them. Because if you go there, we're not going to call you. We don't do that. We don't need to convince you. We don't need to sell you. We need to twist your arm. And again, as I said, the thing that you want to guard against, you have teos syndrome, whether you know it or not. Everybody does in the world. Did you see the movie Dark Waters? It came out about a year ago. It was a big hit. It was with, I think Anne Hathaway was in it, actually. And they talked about the fact that they estimate 99% of the people in the world have Teflon in their bodies. Did you see the thing on Starbucks coffee from about 8 weeks ago where they said in 1 cup of Starbucks coffee, Scoreboard, you're getting between 50 and 80,000 microplastics. In every bottled water you're drinking, you're getting between 120 and 200,000 microplastics. A big study out of Australia last year estimates all of us, including you and me, we're eating the equivalent of a credit card per week in plastic. Let's look at that once. What the hell? We're eating one of these per week in plastic? That's 52 credit cards a year? And in these medical studies, they have proof that this is removing some of what's removing of plastics from our body. Do you think that's a good idea? Or do you think we should just keep accumulating these plastics? Do you know, for example, that one of the things in a plastic that is so bad is the phthalate. The phthalate is what makes the plastic, it makes the plastic flexible. And they estimate that one of the major things that phthalates do, it's a major contributing factor to raising estrogen in women, which is an underlying cause of breast cancer. We know, for example, that between 1990 and like 2020, that the sperm count for men in North America has gone down by 50%, 50, based on what? Phthalates. So these plastics in our body are doing a hell of a lot more than what we ever thought. I've been researching this stuff for 22 years, but it's not even my research. But I've worked with the top oncologists, molecular biologists, geneticists. One of my colleagues is the geneticist who discovered the gene that causes aging, for crying out loud. How crazy is that? And I'm not the expert, but I became an expert on the experts. And we created the website so people could have a free, safe place to go where we weren't going to harass them, call them, so they could make their own decisions. Who else is offering that on social media? Who is it? I don't see it. Maybe it's out there. But also the fact scoreboard that in essence, 60% of the food you'd consume in the first month, they give you 100% money back guarantee. But it's just not the other 40% of the food you'd buy from the grocery store. You get a grocery list and you get a free coach. What's the downside? Okay, it didn't work. You get all your money back. Well, 60% of your money. So anybody else like to come on and any last comments? Okay, we're almost at 2 hours, so I hope this has been, and scoreboard, thanks for all your input. I'm just kidding. I love it when people make comments, and I get really animated only because I really do want to help people. But my job is not to convince you, it isn't, or to sell you. My job is to it's to educate you, like the thing on protein that you don't understand, that the protein, you're getting about 30% absorption of amino acids versus 91%. So right away you can consume a third as much food and get the same benefit, which is the whole point of what the researchers did. Their whole thing was, could we lower the amount of food people consumed, but not lower the amount of nutrition? And like the person who said about, 2 pounds a week on a diet, I totally agree. Scoreboard, okay, great. I hope we're still buddies or friends, just because and I wouldn't even say it's a disagreement. It's my passion, okay? I've devoted 22 years of my life, almost 22 years of my life to this. And I know I get really animated and I should. So good boy. No, look it up. Australia, they did a huge study. You're eating a credit card per week, whether you want to know it or not. Hey, Peter, what areas of health do you cover? Go to the website and see. That's the best thing I can tell you. But anyway, scoreboard, I hope you have a great night. And I hope you will go to the website and take a look. It's not going to hurt you to go there. I mean, what's the downside, So Michelle, did you get enough information, Michelle, before I sign off, since you're the last person on the bus at this point? But really, Michelle, I would really encourage you to go to the New Health Conversation. Let me show it to you, all of you, including Good Boy. There's the website. There's nothing to buy on that website. The only thing on there is the medical proof. That #1 is an exclusive interview with the #1 nutritional weight loss physiologist in the entire world, who for 38 years did over 100 studies. And he's the one that, along with his team of scientists, they invented this protocol, which is called R2M. Okay, race to maintenance is what it stands for. And that's how, but like I said, you can imagine, Michelle, how excited would you be if you could lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise, lose as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet you've ever been on, lose as much weight in a month as a year on any diet without the loss of water, and gaining, not losing, 6 to 9% lean muscle mass? Would that excite you? So let me see who had said, okay, some of the weight in his muscle. No, none of the weight is muscle. Just tell me the product. Okay. Al Mays. Okay, hold on. Michelle, oh, I see your comment now. I'm sorry. I don't know why it didn't show up sooner. So, okay, so how excited would you be, Michelle? Let me back up even more. How about in the first 4 days, losing as much weight as any diet in a month you've ever been on? And it's totally safe weight loss. And in 7 days, lose as much weight in 8 weeks of any diet. I know it sounds too good to be true, but that's why I invite you to go to the website. Michelle, see for yourself. This is not a diet. It's like nothing anybody's ever done before. These are the top, not me, they're the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world for 38 in the world. They've worked with Green Berets and Navy SEALs and fit CrossFit people and triathletes and professional football players. I mean, it's not a diet. That's all I can tell you. And you can go to the website for free and we won't contact you. I want to alert you. If you go there, scroll down to the bottom, it says sign up for free personal consultation. And it's free with a coach who's done the protocol and been trained by us to answer all the questions. And that coach will be your coach the whole time for free. And 40% of the food you're going to buy from the grocery store, we can't negotiate that for you. But we'll give you the grocery list. And the other 5 foods that come from around the world that make up 60% of what you're going to spend, you're buying it directly from them, not from us or from the researchers. Get that out of your mind. We're not doing that. That's a fulfillment company. They offer you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. Michelle, when have you ever seen anything like that? Please put it in the comment. I don't know why I missed your comment. I'm sorry, Michelle. I'm just getting to it now. And again, losing 2 pounds a week is considered rapid weight loss. I already blew that one out of the water. So what is it? Okay, how do I do it? Sophia. Okay, how much does it cost? Okay, wow, those are a lot of questions. Okay, so Sophia, let me give you the quick answers. Effectively, what these researchers did, who are the top weight loss researchers in the world for 38 years, they've done over 100 studies. Effectively, what they did was figure out how to lower the amount of food you consumed, but not lower the amount of nutrition. They did that by 40% of the food you get a grocery list from the grocery store. 40% of your food budget. 60% would be these 5 foods that come from around the world. Now, here's what I can tell you about the cost. If you took whatever you're spending on your total food budget now, 40% would go to your grocery store and the other 60% would go to these 5 foods that they use in the medical studies that come from all over the world. They come from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, from Tibet and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. They have tremendous amounts of nutrition, including 21 natural sourced vitamins. I know some of you are going to say, well, I take a multivitamin. Great, but 95% of all vitamins or all supplements are made in a laboratory. That's not what you want ideally, okay? So, Sophia, what they did, they combined the 40% of the food from the grocery store and the 60%. You probably would end up spending about what you are on regular food now. But now here was the next part. They now had the ingredients. So what did they do? You notice up there, I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 21 years. So this is what happens. So 5 days a week, you do something called protein pacing. On those days, you'd start in breakfast only from the foods from around the world. Let's call it the world's most perfect meal. That's what the researchers called it, okay? Lunch would be from the grocery list. Dinner would be from the grocery list. And listen to this, Sophia. You then have a 4th meal. 4 meals a day, 5 days a week. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not a diet. Get that out of your head. That doesn't work. Then 2 days a week, you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, you would consume no food from the grocery store at all. You just consume these 5 foods 4 times a day, spread out every 2 or 3 hours, so over about 12 or 14 hours. And what happened? Women lost a whole dress size in 7 days, and no one was allowed to exercise, Sophia. Nobody got to exercise, to let you know. And they ended up losing as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet they'd ever been on. In a month, they lost no water weight, and instead of losing lean muscle, well, actually, in a month, they lost as much weight as any of them had ever lost in a year on diets, but they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, which is the thing that everybody guards against about losing more than 1 or 2 pounds a week is unhealthy. On a diet, it would be, because we have the medical proof. I went over it all today. 40% of what you're losing on any diet you've ever been on is your lean muscle mass, which slows your metabolism down. That's why you gain all the weight back after you finish one of these diets. They don't work. Diets don't work. I wrote the definitive book in 2010, Why Diets Are Failing Us. It was a big bestseller. We've had 2 or 3 updates since then. But what we've done, If you go to the website, there's nothing to buy there. The only thing there is the medical proof. And you get to choose. If you go there, we're not going to contact you. So don't think you're going there and all of a sudden we're going to call you. We don't do that. But what you can do, if you like what you see, scroll down at the bottom, it says schedule a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. Our coaches have done the protocol and been trained to answer all your questions. And that coach who interviews you, if you do it, they'll be your coach through the whole process. Now, 40% of the food we don't have any control over. You're buying that from a grocery store. But the other 60% from these suppliers, they give you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. If for any, it didn't work, you don't like it, didn't like the taste, doesn't matter. I mean, honestly, Sophia, where else do they do this? Yes, Sophia, I just explained to you. 100% money back guarantee in the first month. You're going to know within 5 or 11 days, this thing is blowing your mind away. Now, since we're having this, I was going to quit, but I'm not now. I'm intrigued. I want to lose 20 pounds. What's AO bad? I'm not sure. Are you saying badly? Okay, so Sophia, I know this is going to blow your mind. You will probably lose in the first week at least 7 pounds, maybe more than that. The 20 pounds, no problem in the first month. That's without exercise. That's what we see all the time. So does that make sense, Sophia? Please put it in the comment if I've answered and addressed all your questions. Because I was gonna stop, and now I'm not. So Michelle, do you feel better? Do you have a good understanding of what we're talking about here and why I'm inviting you to go to the website? We're not going to trick you. We're here to help you. But Michelle, the key to this is keeping the weight off. That's why it's called R2M, race to maintenance. The idea is we'll get the weight off you, Michelle, but that's the end of the beginning. The key, like for me, Michelle, I kept 40 pounds off for 21 years. How much would that excite you? You know, put it in the chat. I want to see. I want to make sure before I sign off that I don't leave anything on the table, questions-wise, etc. I want you to feel comfortable. I hope I inspire you at least enough to go to the website for free and see the medical proof. I'll put it down here in the bottom another time for everybody, below Sophia. Okay. There's the website again, the New Health Conversation. I understand, Sophia and everybody, it sounds too good to be true. But, excuse me, where's the risk? You get a free coach. You have to eat anyway. That's the point. You're only going to buy 40% of the food from the grocery store, and the other 60% come, and they give you 100% money back guarantee, and the other 60%, it's like, what? Where's the risk? Now, nothing's 100%. I wouldn't be that dumb to say that. Of course not. But this is damn near 100%. It's so rare when anybody ever asks for a refund because they've had such amazing results. And then we teach you, look, the whole key, look, Sophia, there's no doubt we're going to get that weight off you. I'm not even concerned about that. But the key is for us to teach you how to continue. And by the way, you want to know what maintenance is, everybody? It's as simple as one time a day, you have the world's most perfect meal. Just once a day. And I would ask you, if you knew that you could put the world's most perfect meal in your body, why wouldn't you do it once a day to maintain whatever you've done? Now, there are people that want to do more of the 48-hour intermittent nutritional fasting. I do that. I do it maybe at least once a month because it makes me feel so good. And the point is that if you're really doing this, the main reason to do it is to maximize what? Your quality of life potential. You all understand this is live. This is not pre-recorded. There's no way. You can see me winding up my charger for my computer. I mean, it's not AI. This is live and in person. And I do 4 of these a day. I normally start around 11 Eastern Standard Time in the morning, and then maybe about every 2 hours. If my voice holds out, this is my last one of the day. I'm already getting a little bit hoarse. But I have to eat very little to nothing to lose weight. And Sophia, stop, okay? Stop with that. Trust us. And again, Sophia, didn't I explain that to you? That you're probably going to spend about what you're spending now on your whatever your total food bill is with these combinations. But Sophia, go look at the medical proof. It has nothing to do, you're proving my point. You're eating very little and you still can't lose weight. Yeah, exactly. You're on a diet. I mean, they don't work, okay, Sophia? They just don't work. And you can go to the website. It's free. Sophia, it's free to go there. And look at the medical proof. Look at the before and afters. It'll shock you. You'll go, no, they Photoshop those. I can't even show them on social media. They'd ban me because they're so dramatic. And we didn't Photoshop any of them. Wait till you see the difference in people. In sometimes as little as 3 or 4 weeks, they shrink. We have people who lost 100 pounds, no loose skin. How's that sound? I'll be right back. Well, I may or may not be here. So again, Michelle, do you have any more? I really, really would like to help you, Michelle, if we can. I mean, I know we can, but I understand your skepticism. And Michelle, I don't know if you were around when I talked about the fact, not that you are, but my mom. My mom was morbidly obese my whole life, and I loved her. She was awesome. And sadly, 23 years ago, she called me up one day and said, you know, Peter, I have one wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything to spend one day thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. I loved my mom. She was so awesome. And I saw the fat shaming and the whispers. I lived with that, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter how big she was to me. It was her heart. And I still miss her today. I mean, I got to admit, and it's one of the reasons that drove me to become a researcher. My mom did about every diet that there was 23 years ago, from the grapefruit diet to I think there was a banana diet. There was all these, from Weight Watchers to OptiFast to, over in South Beach. I mean, all these diets, Atkins, and she'd lose 20 and gain 25 back. She'd lose 25 and gain 30 back. I'm sure you can maybe relate to some of that. Oh, I'm back. Okay, good. So Sophia, do you understand you want to go to that website, the New Health Conversation? Do you see it up there and see it above my head, right? Oh, thank you very much. It really, the thing is, and I can't prove it, my mom was only in her mid-60s when she died. And knowing what I know now, or let me explain it a different way to all of you, what I would have given to have just been, in those days, it would have been a phone call, right? There was no internet, there was no anything. Maybe the internet had started, I'm not even sure about that, but no, good boy, it's not recorded. But you can see it on other social media. It'll post on my other, depending on which platform you're on, you will get to see it. I'm sorry, it'll be absolutely uploaded if it's not on there already, right? So I can't put a price tag on what I would have to have known this, because I can't prove it, but I believe my mom dieted herself to death. And this, if she could have lost as much weight in a week as 8 weeks of any diet, I think that would have at least brought her joy. I mean, she was a real estate broker. She was really amazing. She lived in Maine. She had a house right on the ocean. She'd go out and collect shells and all that kind of stuff. And she was just, that was her, as she said, that was her nemesis, And I'd see her, struggle 2 or 3 months to lose 20 pounds and gain it all back in a couple of weeks. Maybe some of you can relate to that. It's just so sad that there's so many people like Mom that are out there suffering in quiet desperation, right? Oh, thank you very much. Guro style. It's hard for me to talk about it even all this time later, because it's always the what if scenario, right? But here's the thing for all of you, or the ones that are still here, or we'll see it on the broadcast. Do you realize you get a chance to hit the do-over button? My mom didn't, but you do. The thing I fight, I feel like sometimes I fight so hard for all of you. This is not a podcast. And as long as we're on this track, let me share one other story with you. My younger brother, Patrick, was a very famous news anchor. He really was. He won like 30 major journalistic awards, et cetera. He was, anyway, he retired and moved to Denver, where I live, just 3 houses down from me. And in 2010, he called me up and they said, I'm having back pain. I want to go to an orthopedic guy. And he said, will you come with me? I said, sure, no problem. So we go, and they did an MRI, whatever they did. And they said, come back in 3 or 4 days. And so we come back, and I'm sitting out in the lobby, and I'll never forget it. The nurse came out and she said, your brother wants to see you. And I thought, that's really strange. So she walked me down this hall and we go into a room, and my brother was 6'4". There he is, double over crying. And he said, I'm going to die. I have kidney cancer. They'd found, unrelated to the orthopedic, but they found a tumor the size of a baseball wrapped around his spine. So 3 days later, he had an 8-hour surgery to remove it. Then he went on chemo and radiation. And 8 months later, I was in his hospital room on a Saturday night. I'll never forget it. Let me give you a little more background. Before COVID, I was lecturing 4 or 5 nights a week. I'd done over 1,500 lectures all over the world, in the United States, Canada, Mexico. I even went to China, believe it or not. They flew me over there. And we were sitting there, and they were done. They couldn't do any more. He was done with chemo, done with radiation. He was going to go into hospice on Monday. And I was scheduled to leave on Monday to go on a speaking tour on the East Coast. And I said, Patrick, I'm going to cancel my speaking engagement, et cetera. And he sat up in that bed, and he looked at me and pointed at me and said, Peter, you don't sit here and watch me. He said, you go out in that world. And if you can make a difference in one person's life, for me, do it. So reluctantly, on Monday morning, I left. And I'll never forget, Friday afternoon, I was in Washington, D.C., where I was speaking that night, in actually Bethesda, which is a little north of the Capitol. And about 4:30 in the afternoon, 6:30, I was going on at 7. It was 6:30, 4:30 Denver time, but 6:30 Eastern time. His wife called me up and said, your brother's really struggling. Will you talk to him? He was on morphine at that point. And I said, look, Patrick, don't worry. I don't know if he heard me or not. Don't worry about your wife. He has a daughter. I said, I'll take care of him. So I went on stage at 7, and he died at 7:15 while I was on stage. I still have his last phone message on my phone. I mean, I can't erase it. So my mom and my brother Patrick never got a chance to hit the reset button, the do-over button. You do. I wish I could have known what I know now for my brother 14 years ago, but there's no way. Because one of my colleagues is the number one, we wrote this, and don't buy my book, okay? That's not the point. But this book here, Your Third Brain, I wrote it with, this is considered to be one of the top oncologists in the world out of Italy. He's also a molecular biologist. He also worked with 2 men who won the Nobel Prize in medicine. And what he taught me about what I could have done with my brother had I known, I can't go back, right? And so part of my passion comes from my mom, who didn't get a do-over. My brother didn't get a do-over. I actually got a do-over. Because you see, after my mom, 23 years ago is when she died. 21 years ago, I walked to my doctor's office, and they said to me, my doctor, if you don't do something radically different today, you have an 85% chance of a heart attack or stroke within 18 months. So I did diet, exercise, and drugs. Came back 8 weeks later. I lost 8 pounds in 8 weeks, but my cholesterol only come down about 20 points. He said, I can't give you any more meds. So a friend of mine who played professional football for the Oakland Raiders turned me on to this. I went on it. And I lost 18 pounds I lost 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks. And the next week, I went back for follow-up with my doctor. And this time he comes in, throws my chart down and said, Peter, you're trying to kill yourself. I said, what are you talking about? He said, the lab made a mistake. I said, how so? See, my cholesterol went from 400 to 120. My triglycerides from 300 to 30. I lost 40 pounds, and my heart attack risk dropped from 85 to 15. I don't believe I'd be here today if it wasn't for this. I got a do-over. My mom did. My brother did. But you have an extraordinary opportunity if you choose. That's what I'm saying. I'm not here to convince people. I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to give you, in essence, a lifeline if you want to take it. It's kind of like, the people, sadly, a lot of people on the Titanic stood on deck because they didn't think it was going to sink. It can't happen to me. I didn't think it could happen to me either, and it did. And I just had a physical about 6 months ago, and all my numbers are still, they've maintained. See, that's the key to this, is the maintenance. The maintenance is maintaining the success that you will have if you follow it. It's up to you. It's not up to us. That's what's different about what we do. And I have those two, memories etched inside me. I'm sorry to go down. I don't know why I even did that. Sometimes I just get really, really nostalgic and think about what might have been, what could have been, But for all of you, this is a gift that we're giving to you of knowledge. That's what it boils down to. I don't expect you. I mean, I flew 2 million miles just on United Airlines all over the world to meet these top researchers that I've collaborated with for 22 years to bring it to you. It's like I spent my whole life preparing for this moment. But if I can impact one of you, my brother will be happy. So I'm going to conclude with that. That's enough before I start getting too melancholy here. But I'm really serious. I hope you will, for your own benefit, go to that website, the New Health Conversation, look at everything, and then you decide. It's not up to us. We're not going to convince you. We're not going to twist your arm. Why would we do that? So I hope all of you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I hope you will go to the New Health Conversation. You can see it there and see what you think, okay? So I'm going to say this is it for today. I'm bushed after 4 of these long, wow, this one's already almost 2.5 hours long. So, but I love what I do, and hopefully you understand that I'm coming with true authenticity, and why it's so important that I do my best to convey this knowledge to all of you, so you might hit that do-over button or not. So I wish all of you would have a great rest of your night. I know we're all over the world, so we got people, it's morning, it's night, it's afternoon. So I just say goodbye, everybody. Well, like I said, I hope you go to the website. Bye-bye, everyone.